Hi, I'm Rebecca Balcárcel with Writers on Writing. We're talking today with Ernesto Cisneros, author and educator. Thank you for coming and talking about your work and your craft.
Oh, my
Um,
pleasure. My pleasure.
yeah, how do you create a storyline that actually keeps us interested across the whole story?
That is a really, really tough question. So I'm going to give you the best answer that I can, although a lot of it is that it kind of varies with me. Every book that I've written has been a little bit different. Um, but the way that I kind of look at stories and plot is that you have a character, and once you know who the person is, I I don't really believe in controlling too much of what happens in the middle of the book, but I know where the character wants and should be by the end of the book. And so my job, and here, let me give you a really strange analogy. So when I was a kid, I was a latchkey kid, and and I would come home, and my parents weren't there. They wouldn't get home till the evening, and so I'd stay in the front yard or the backyard because I was kind of scared to go inside. I was just like, it's kind of creepy in there. So I'd go outside and I would play with the ants. And I would just like make little trails, little mazes for them, and obstacle courses and stuff like that. And that's kind of the way I see the characters too. So when I'm writing the book, it's it's me playing with the ants again and creating obstacles and complications, all the hurdles that the character needs to become heroic. And the way that I see it is the more, and again, forgive me for if this sounds bad, but the worse I torture my character and the more impossible I make it for him or her or they, then they are more likely to be more heroic at the end. Or they don't succeed, it's a little bit even more dramatic and more tragic. So that's kind of been always been my philosophy. I'm more character driven, so I worry more about the characters, and I've done this both ways where I kind of outline in a very rough way, um, just things that I want to happen, but that always goes off to the side because the character decides or something else happens, and I'm like, oh, this character's getting too close to fulfilling what their dream. How about let's throw this wrench at them? And so it's a lot of fun to. It sounds weird to be the bad guy, I guess, in a way, right? And it's a little rewarding where you're like, what can I do to make my character kind of like, and it's not about making them suffer. It's about, again, making them have every obstacle so that when they do win or at the end, it's a lot more special to them. So they need to fail and fail and fail again, just like life. It
Yeah,
is. I didn't get published until I was 46 years old, and it only made everything more rewarding. So yeah, the more
yeah.
obstacles, I think it sounds weird, but the better the story.
It does make sense because the obstacle draws out the traits that they need to develop, like
Hmm.
what bravery or you know resourcefulness or faith in themselves or uh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like make their life really hard so that they can grow a lot, and then by the end, yeah, they've learned something. Um,
Yeah, my best professor ever, Jim, in my master's course, he defined plot as stuff happens, just stuff that happens.
Stuff
That's it.
happens.
And
Yeah.
when he minimized it like that, I that was kind of all I need. I'm like, wait, this is a master's level class, and this is the advice he's giving me. And he would read picture books to us, and but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized he was correct. If you simplify it to its simplest form, it's just stuff that happens that gets in the way. That's all it is.
Yeah, yeah, stuff
That's all
gets
it
in the
is.
way, impediments, obstacles, yeah, things going wrong.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then that creates some suspense because the reader's thinking, "How will my character handle this?" Or how will the character get out of this situation? It's getting so
Yes,
complicated, dire, and then
and
you're curious to see.
yes, and as a writer, sometimes like with my second book falling short, I had no idea what was going to happen in the next scene. So something would happen, I would make it really, really difficult for my character, And then I'd have to come to the computer the next day and I'm like, what's going to happen? So I kind of felt like I was watching a telenovela where you're like, oh my gosh, I had this cliffhanger. What happens? And so you actually have this energy to get to the desk because I am no longer the author. I'm just a reader like everybody else. And these characters feel like real people. And so I don't decide what they do at this point. And sometimes it's not where I want them to go. Sometimes it is. My job is just to kind of like, oh, the story's going a little bit too far. Let me kind of bring you back in here. And that only happens, I think, twice. Well, at least I don't know why, but twice I've written chapters that kind of did that, and I had to be like, no, 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 this isn't working. Let's try it again, and then I go
Mhm.
just put them back on pass.
Yeah,
Kind of
just
like the
let go.
ants. Sometimes they just wander off, and you're like, no, 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 come on, the maze is over here. Um, but yeah, yeah, and that's really rewarding. Sometimes there's just days when I'm so stressed out because I can't figure out where to go next. But when I do, oh my God, it's so exciting. It's just like if I'm there in front of a movie watching. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's exciting for the reader too,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, when you feel excited, the reader's going to feel excited too.